If you are a syndicator, you need to be ahead of the curve using AI. If you're an investor, my belief is that you need to make sure that your syndicator is leveraging the company in AI and technology, because otherwise, nobody's going to be able to compete with that syndicator. Because if we can do more with only 5 employees, we can make more money for you with the same amount of people that we have in the properties.
Welcome to Elevate, the masterclass where we dissect the elements of exceptional achievement and lifestyle design with a focus on personal growth and real estate investing. Now, here's your host, Tyler Chesser.
Elevate Nation, welcome back. This is Tyler Chesser. I'm so thankful to have you here, and I'm blessed and grateful to be joined by Vanessa Alfaro today. Today, you are going to learn about the artificial intelligence era that we find ourselves in today. You're also going to learn even more specifically about generative AI, generative artificial intelligence, and its application to real estate, specifically today, how you can open your mind to the possibilities of this leveraging this exponential technology for your expansion, your growth, your hyper efficiency, capturing tremendous opportunity in the future. This episode is so important and so eye-opening. I think you're going to love it. You're also going to learn about Vanessa's tremendous story and her background in terms of founding 5 7-figure companies in 3 different countries, and some of the patterns that she was able to apply to reach that level of success, and how she's really applying those as she moves forward to continue to scale and live this amazing life of presence with her children. By the way, she's a mother of 5. So anybody who tells you, oh, I don't have time for that, I can't, invest in real estate, I don't have time, or I can't do that, I can't travel the world or be a part of a high-level mastermind with Tony Robbins himself directly because I don't have time, I have all these kids and I da-da-da-da-da. She is showing us what is possible, and she continues to do so. So I just want to thank Vanessa for being a part of this podcast today. Elevate Podcast is all about mindset, mind expansion, and personal development for high-performing real estate investors. By the way, your mind is going to be expanded tremendously today, beyond the limits of where it was before. I'm your host, Tyler Chesser, and I'm a professional real estate investor and entrepreneur. It is my job to decode the stories, habits, and multifaceted expertise of world-class investors and other experts to help you elevate your performance and lifestyle. Are you ready to take it to another level? It is time. Let's raise the bar today. And I can tell you that the multifaceted expertise is absolutely coming to the surface today from Vanessa. I want to encourage you to pay the fee. The fee is to pay it forward. Share this episode with one person. I'm going to invite you to do that right now. I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you so much for listening to Elevate Podcast, giving us the opportunity to pour in your cup. And I also want to encourage you, if you haven't done so already, please give us a rating, review, and subscribe or follow Elevate Podcasts on wherever it is that you listen or watch podcasts. Very important to us. We love to hear your feedback. So please do that now if you haven't done so already. And without further ado, I want to dive in and introduce you to Vanessa Alfaro, who is an entrepreneur, an experienced real estate investor, and multifamily syndicator who was recently profiled in the real estate book, 10 Paths, as one of the 10 most successful real estate investor stories. With an extensive background in finance, capital raising, team leadership, market analyzation, and underwriting assets, this is why she has become one of the top multifamily superstars. As the founder of MFA Capital Partners, a multifamily investment company dedicated to acquiring assets in emerging markets in the U.S. and providing her investors highly profitable opportunities. Her deep understanding of business, financials, and people is a perfect match to create what will now be her legacy to her 5 kids. She was born in Venezuela, and she started as an entrepreneur at the age of 22, and you're going to hear more about that story today. She also co-founded a marketing agency that offered boutique services to clients, and this organization became, after only 3 years, one of the biggest BTL marketing companies in the country. And at that time, she was named one of the most successful and the youngest entrepreneurs with more than 2,500 employees under her supervision. She has the power to convert a hobby into a money-making machine. The P&A magazine said, everything she touches becomes gold. After 6 years, the company expanded to Panama in Central America, where she resided for 7 years and founded Octometro Panama. In 2009, she was named Woman of the Year by the magazine Social World, the biggest business and socialite magazine in Panama. In the US, Vanessa and her husband, Camilo, co-founded Autoproyecto. I'm sorry, I'm trying to pronounce this company. It's the #1 Hispanic content provider and publishing company in the US. And in 2017, she moved from marketing, publishing, and production to multifamily. And she's the founder of MFA Capital Partners. And you're going to love her story. I'm telling you right now, she is wonderful. She's unbelievable. She now lives in Beverly Hills, California with her husband and 5 kids. And buckle up because today's podcast is one for the books. Without further ado, please enjoy this phenomenal conversation with Vanessa Alfaro. Vanessa Alfaro, welcome to Elevate. How are you?
Hi, I'm so happy, grateful, and excited to be here with you, Taylor.
I know. I was really, really excited to have met you just about a month ago in Utah at a conference. And I think we both have so much in common, in some sense, from a parenting perspective. You're a twin mom, I'm a twin dad, but you've also got 3 others. So you've got so much on your plate in addition to being such a tremendously high performing individual, someone who's done so much in your life. So I'm super excited about this conversation to bring that to the listeners. While we familiarize you with Elevate Nation, why don't you talk a little bit about your upbringing and your backstory?
Well, my name is Vanessa Alfaro. I was originally born in Venezuela. I am an entrepreneur since I was 12 years old, I think. I'm the founder of 5 7-figure companies in 3 different countries. And the last one is my Venus Capital investment firm, which is a real estate investment firm that is focused on technology and innovation to provide investors the best opportunities. I've been here in the US for about a decade already. Okay? And before here, I was in Panama City, for about 7 years, where I had another company as well. And then in my country in Venezuela, which I had my first company when I was 22 years old.
Wow. So what was it that got you propelled into being an entrepreneur at such a young age?
Oh, wow. I think that my mom had a lot to do with that. When I was 12, I come from a background of a very, very humble family. I was born in a very small town. We were very poor, if you can say that, but we were struggling. My mom struggled to pay bills. I remember my mom counting the money, like this is $2 to pay this and all that. And when I was 12, I just started to do things and sell things at school. And my mom helped me a lot. She support me with every entrepreneurial idea that I had, even with a small amount of money, if I pay her back. So she was a teacher. She was not an entrepreneur, not my dad, but she helped me a lot with that. And then, life changed. When I was 15, I was recruited as for a modeling agency to do modeling. And I did that for about 5 years. I never took a W-2 job, except when I worked for McDonald's when I was 16. And that's because I had to pay for my modeling, 3 months of modeling course, blah, blah, blah. I did that for many years. I was not a success, I can tell. It was a complete failure. I went to beauty contests and I lost all of them. So that was not my path. But at that point, I was invited to go to Milan. And then I was rejected to modeling. And I was rejected because I was too short. And I am 5'9".
You're very tall. I'm like, wow.
Yes. I was 5'9". I'm still 5'9". But I was too short and I was too old. I was 19. And at what point I was like, okay, I want to go back to my roots. I want to be an entrepreneur. And that's when I went to business school. I actually was in college for physics. I wanted to be an astrophysics. So I wanted to be a model and a physics. So I was intelligent model. But then after I was rejected, I decided I was going to be back to my roots of entrepreneur. I went to business school. And at 22, I opened my first company, which was a marketing company in my country. And that company in 3 years went to 1 employee to 2,500 employees. And what is interesting is that at that point, the country had 12% inflation. It was, 2000 something. We are right now in the US for a 7 or 8% inflation. And when I left my country and I moved that same company to Panama, the inflation was about 42. Right now it's 256% inflation. So my point here is that right now we are in an inflationary period in the United States and people is freaking out. I can tell you that I make money and a 12% and a 42%. I just not make money. I thrive in that country. And I think everybody can do it here as well.
Thank you for that, reassurance, because I know that is a big topic on so many people's mind and a concern, right? Because, obviously coming from Venezuela, that is a prime example of sort of the downside of inflation. But I think you're showing us an example of even in those set of circumstances, you can thrive and create success. So talk to me about the decision to move the business to Panama.
Inflation.
Really?
Inflation as well.
But they were even experiencing high inflation there too, right?
We were making a lot of money, okay? Way more than what I ever imagined in my whole life. And I was 26, 27. But we couldn't get the money out of the country. I was not able to change my money to dollars. So the inflation was eating my money, okay? So we decided to expand the company to Panama because Panama is dollar space, okay? So we wouldn't have that issue, and it would be easy government-wise to bring money from Venezuela to Panama. So at that point, I moved to Panama, okay, with my daughter. We opened the same marketing company, but it's very interesting because that was 2006. And do you remember what happened in 2006, 2007?
Yeah, it was close to the global financial crisis, right? You were at the peak.
Yes. But something else happened because at that point, I was in South America. What happened here in the United States, it kind of didn't affect me except for the fact that I had some investments here in the United States that went to hell. But I'm sorry for the French. But in 2006, okay, it was the breakthrough of social media. Okay? It was in between 2004 that Facebook came. So what happened is that at that point, when I moved the company to Panama, okay, we were again thinking, okay, what can we do in innovation? I was always very focused on innovation and technology, always. So at that point, we were like, okay, this is happening. This is going to be big. Okay, social media is a breakthrough that nobody's going to escape. So we were thinking, what's going to happen right now in business? And my marketing company shifted strategy to being 50% of the company was dedicated to digital marketing. At that point, we were one of the biggest. In 1 year, that company went to 7-figure companies because we were the pioneers in digital marketing in Central America. And in Panama, we worked for the government. We opened the Twitter accounts for the president and for everybody in the government. We use it a lot for raising capital for nonprofits. I was very involved with nonprofits at that point. And we were very interested to understand how we can leverage social media to raise money for good. I met Jack Dorsey at the beginning. He actually opened my Twitter account because I didn't have a Twitter account at that point, and he took my phone, a BlackBerry at that point, and he opened my Twitter account, which I still don't use. I still don't use Twitter.
What an epic story.
But we use it for good, okay? And we use it we raise a lot of money for nonprofits, and we made it for business. The reason I'm mentioning that is because I believe that right now we have a huge opportunity. We have another breakthrough with the technology that is available right now. So that's how we leverage technology for the second company that I have. We actually had 2 companies there in Panama.
Yeah, so I definitely want to get there because this has been a big topic of our individual conversations prior to leading to this podcast, is really thinking about artificial intelligence and the wave that is really ahead of us, or perhaps formulating to a certain degree, today, right now. And we're joined by your AI alongside us in this conversation, which is also really, really exciting. But, I want to, before we get there, talk to me about maybe why were you able to find such early success and rapid success as an entrepreneur? Was it just being willing to innovate and adapt and see these big waves ahead of time? Or what else would you say about the early success there?
It's innovation and adapt. I completely agree with what you're saying, because every time, and I mean, I've been done this 5 times with 5 companies. Okay. And it's the same. I'm not reinventing the wheel, but I'm always thinking how to reinvent the wheel. Always. Okay. Because the truth is that if you do the same thing that everybody is doing, okay, how are you going to be different? How are you going to succeed? Okay. And at what level are you going to do that? So every time I'm going to a new company, it's like I'm thinking in innovation, how we can do this different, how we can do this better. And I'm doing that right now with our company and with all the technology that we're going to talk about. I believe that if you're not ahead of the curve, your company at one point is just going to be dead because you can't compete. And that is true right now more than ever. So yes, I think that innovation is extremely important.
So founding 5 different 7-figure companies in your history, and obviously doing what you've done across several different countries. I mean, you've obviously exhibited success, right? Success leaves clues. And also it wasn't flash in the pan or luck. So there's other patterns. So innovation is one. What else would you say has been a key to that sort of track record of success as an entrepreneur?
Well, I'm going to quote Tony Robbins here because I have always think about this, but he's very clear to talk about art of achievement. One of the things, the most important is desire. And I mean, if you don't have that desire on you, that you think that you have to do it, you get to do it, you love it, you're not going to do anything because everything starts with hunger and desire. And then he talks about massive action. It doesn't matter how knowledge you have. It doesn't matter how much desire you have, but that is nothing if you don't have massive action. So I think that I have driven my life through that, even before knowing about Tony Robbins, innovation, desire. I have a huge desire in my life since I was 12 to do things, to learn. By my learning is my desire of growing is so magnified. Sometimes I feel is too much. Have you ever seen Matrix?
Yes, the Matrix. Yes.
The Matrix. And you remember when they plug, this thing in his head and they start like loading information. That's how I feel all the time, that I have to be loading information. And it is very important for me to disconnect because otherwise it's too much. It's too much for you to be always learning and thinking. It's like my mind doesn't stop. But desire, massive action, and innovation, I will say, is the key for me.
And, with that desire to learn and that it's almost like the thirst that can never be quenched, right? To a large degree. And I've seen that from you early is that you want to know what's next. You want to continue to grow. And I think that that's true for all human beings, but in many regards across society, you've seen that sort of be squashed to a certain degree. People's, this curiosity, this innate curiosity that we all have, that we're all born with. In many aspects, society sort of suppresses that. And, it's like, go in your box and do your thing. But now that you've continued to feed this thirst, right, of knowledge, of desire to learn, to grow, how do you actually balance that with a little bit of recovery and unplugging like you were just describing?
Well, interesting question. My kids help me a lot because when I am with them, even though my brain, I have to consciously shut down my brain and stop thinking. I want to be present with them. Okay. So I want to make sure. And sometimes I start thinking and they said to me, Mom, look at my eyes. And they are 3. Okay. They're 4. Look at my eyes. And that's when I go back to, I have to be present here because my mind does not stop. So that's one thing that is, they bring me to balance. The other thing, like everybody talks about meditation. For me, meditating is one of the hardest things to do. I have never been able to meditate in my life because, well, I mean, usually meditation, you go and you start thinking and you start imagining things, right? And while I start imagining, I'm already building, I start working, I start doing something. It's like I can't meditate, but I found transcendental meditation and that definitely changed my life. It was the only time that I really, the only way I can meditate is using that technique.
And bringing back to a mantra so that you can focus on the mantra. Is that what you've expected or experienced?
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right. So you go back to a mantra And that mantra is actually helping to empty your brain of any other thought. And even if you start going back on the side, you go back to the mantra. And that has been amazing for me. It's the only way that I can meditate. So it's
bringing the brain back to a focused position. And you have so many things going on, so many ideas, so many desires, so many questions, so many, things that you're anticipating. Obviously, as an entrepreneur, as a dynamic entrepreneur, you're thinking about all these things. So I can understand why perhaps a mindfulness meditation was a challenge for you. But when you found an opportunity to focus, there you find a little bit of calm and recovery through that experience. But, the other thing that, going back to this sort of the art of achievement that you were just sharing, the desire, the love, the hunger, the passion for what you're doing, to be able to push through challenges and to be able to put yourself in position to take massive action. And as you go out there and continue to push forward. But one of the things that is, I believe, an outlier in terms of your story is that you've just experienced tremendous success. I mean, talking about the first company going from 1 to 2,500 employees, moving it from one country to another to, navigate an inflationary environment. And then obviously continuing forward with several other organizations. There's obviously a penchant to be able to navigate complexity that you've shown. What would you say about that? I mean, is it finding the right partners? Is it finding the right employees, the right talent? I mean, what are some of the components that have given you the opportunity or put you in position to be that level of scaled success across the board?
Well, I hear a really amazing podcast that you had with Dr. Benjamin Hardy, the author of Who Not How with Dad Sullivan. And they actually talk about that. And the whole concept of the book is how you can leverage and just be in your superpower state. And in the context of you can do the best with your time, being in your superpower and leverage with other people, or other employees, and give the employees the autonomy to master what they can do the best. I think that that has been my mantra as well since I was 20. I was also a single mom. My daughter was 3 years old when I started my first company. So I was just recently divorced and I didn't have any options. So I have to surround myself with the best people that I had. And that being said, my company started with one person, but that person grew with me until he was the vice president of the company. He was amazing. And then from Venezuela, I moved some people with me to Panama. So yes, the who, is extremely important. I'm gonna move ahead a little bit here, talking about who. What is happening right now is that all these technologies, all these AI, all these generative AI is bringing such a breakthrough and such a change in the way that we work. I believe that right now, AI is the ultimate who. AI is actually the right who for you and any other employee in your company if you want to make your company grow, because they can have autonomy, and innovation. They can have more time. It's just like what is happening right now, is revolutionary, and it's revolutionary. It's disrupting every industry that you are, regardless of what industry you are, real estate, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you're an entrepreneur, is disrupting every company and is creating that who that is able to help you to hyper growth your company in levels that it never happened before.
And you've described this to me as like, we're in the AI era. Like today is the AI era. Almost what you were just describing as 2006 or so was kind of the social media era. And obviously that revolutionized the way that companies interacted with each other in the digital marketing landscape. But what you're talking about right now is a disruption across all businesses. And so you're saying we're entering an era of hyper growth and hyper disruption for entrepreneurs and I would argue for investors and people who are wanting to leverage their own capital and opportunities and find opportunities throughout the landscape. It's about anticipating and understanding. And so how are folks best leveraging this tool right now? Is it just really getting up to speed in terms of where things are? Or how are folks really leveraging the ultimate who today in artificial intelligence?
Well, there are so many ways, but I think that depending on, yes, you're right. we are entering in an AI era. And I think that this year, AI is going to be the most overused word as well. Okay. And everybody's going to buy a domain that ends with the AI. Okay. And now you will have to see if that's really AI or not, because everybody can call themselves AI. But the reality is that artificial intelligence has been here for a long time. Artificial intelligence is really old. It's maybe more than 60 years old. But what is happening right now is that generative AI is coming into play, which means it's like generative AI is all these ChatGPT and all these deep learning autoregressive technologies, okay, that started just like in maybe November last year. But AI is really old. There is a lot of AI technology that we have been using, like Alexa, Siri, blah, blah, blah. The way that generative AI works is that right now is not human-like intelligence, okay, but I believe it's very close to human-like intelligence. I believe that right now, some of the AIs are actually more intelligent than human in some level, because you can generate more content faster, and you can you can work faster with the different AI technologies that you have, okay? And answering your question on how you can leverage this for yourself, okay? Imagine that you have 5 different assistants. 100% of your time can be reduced to 50% of your time. Your company that has 1, 10, or 100 employees, okay? Now leveraging AI, now those employees, first of all, you will need to hire more employees to achieve 100% or 10x bigger returns for your company. Everything now is going to be completely exponential. Money is going to be completely exponential. 7 figures company is going to be nothing, because now we're going to be talking about 8, 9, 10 figure companies, because the way that we can exponentially grow, okay, is incredibly faster with the same amount of people. The way that we can exponentially make money, okay, with the same amount of time is incredible. So we're talking about hyper growth in any industry. And I can give you more detailed ideas if you want.
Please. And I just want to clarify. I mean, you're saying generative AI at this point is very close to human intelligence. And you're saying it's really not far off from really being there or even surpassing to a certain degree. But what you're saying is today, and it just really was introduced to a large degree from what I'm hearing from you in November of 2022. And where we are, you know, we're here at the end of March, beginning of April. And what you're saying is what this can do is it can generate better, more and faster output efficiency and allow us to step into exponential productivity and results, you know, from it, you know, an entrepreneurial perspective, from a team thought process. You know, it's like replacing team members perhaps with this better or very close to human-like intelligence that's more efficient. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, right now with generative AI, you're able to write legal contracts. You're able to write job descriptions. You're able to ask generative AI to create a book for you. I mean, like I know a 5-year-old that is writing her own book with the help of ChatGPT. So there is like the limitations are just you can't even think about it. But this was just created in November. ChatGPT was just created in November. You're right. And the way that this is evolving is so fast that in 6 months, whatever I tell you right now will be obsolete. It's changing so fast. So the way that we're moving in our firm, in our company right now, is focusing in working with vendors and with technologies that are already partnering with OpenAI, and they are forward thinking and they are actually investing in AI technologies. It doesn't matter in 6 months, because in 6 months they won't be obsolete. If they keep ahead of the curve, they are not going to be obsolete. But what I think is that the companies that are not implementing AI, any company, it doesn't matter, any company that is not implementing AI is going to disappear in 5 years. In 5 years, there are just going to be two types of companies. The ones that are fully utilizing AI and the ones that doesn't exist anymore.
Hey guys, just a quick word from our sponsor, then we'll be right back to the show. This episode of Elevate is brought to you by CF Capital, a national real estate investment firm founded by myself and my business partner, Brian Flaherty. CF Capital's mission is to provide property investment and asset management solutions to help investors like you maximize their returns by investing in high-value multifamily communities. If you are looking for risk-adjusted alternative investments in quality apartment communities, are seeking tax-optimized cash flow with appreciation upside without all the hassles of management, you might benefit from learning more about investing alongside our team. You're invited to reach out and learn more about how you can invest with us by visiting cfcapllc.com. We're also currently offering a free ebook called The Bottom Line, 10 Ways to Increase Cash Flow in an Apartment Complex. Whether you're a new or experienced investor, we're confident you'll find massive value in this resource. So go get your free copy today at cfcapllc.com. And now, please enjoy the rest of the show. So for people who are listening to this and saying, okay, I get that. I'm on board. I want to be a part of this innovation, and I don't want to be obsolete. And I also recognize that perhaps I need to align myself with others who I would not anticipate to become obsolete in the near future, and so forth. How can they do it? How can they start to adopt this amazing technology today? What does it actually look like from a practical perspective?
Right. If you are, for example, an entrepreneur, okay, and you're a solopreneur that you're starting your business, that can be a life changing for you because you're maybe one or two people. So things that you can do with generative AI are like starting from brainstorming, creating business plan. I mean, imagine you sitting in a room with 5 people and creating a strategy for your business product. You can do that with AI. You AI one person and it's just right there. It's done. Everything that you think before of going to maybe to another vendor that would take 5 days. Just to give you an example, I have my lawyer and I love her and I asked her for a document, and just for the sake of understanding how would this work, I asked her for the document. I told her what I need, exactly what I need on an email. And I gave her, please give me this document. She didn't come back with that document. And believe me, she has a lot of paralegals working with her in 7 days. I put the same information in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT gave me the legal document that I needed in 30 seconds. I waited 7 days and I received the documents from my lawyer, and it didn't have the most important bullet points that I asked her to have in my document. So at the end, my ChatGPT created legal document was actually better than the one that I received from my lawyer. Yes. So, and if you are a solopreneur and you want to create job descriptions, just as simple, and I'm talking of a very, very, very basic level of generative AI. We can go way deeper than this, but very simple. You're a solopreneur and you want to hire people. You want to have a job description of the person that you want. You can do that with ChatGPT, just talking like a human. Hey, this is what I need. I want a rockstar assistant that can do this for me. Give me a job description. And that creates the job description in 30 seconds, okay? And before, how much thought you have to put in that, okay? So some people think that generative AI is, removing critical thinking. I don't think that is happening, okay? Because you still have to use your brain. You still have to tweak some things, but you're able to achieve things that in maybe 50% of the time that you were doing before. Emails, ebooks. If you have idea of creating your own book, you can put the idea there and ask you to break down that per chapters. And that's just a few things. I don't know if you know about Dolly, Midjourney, or Stable Diffusion, but now you can create images from text. You can tell what you want, okay? And it's going to create an image in the way that, you can tell, give me a Van Gogh of a panda eating an apple, okay? And it's going to create it for you, and you just have to say that. So, and this is just the very basic. You can create presentations. PowerPoint is dead. It's completely dead. You can just write down in a document what the presentation is, click on an AI, and it's going to put the presentation together for you.
So what does it look like? What type of investment is required to leverage this unbelievable technology? And where do you go to find it? I mean, you just chatgpt.com. I mean, how do you find this and how do you leverage it?
ChatGPT is for free right now for users. So you can go and create an account on ChatGPT. You can go and pay $20 as well and go to ChatGPT 4, okay, which is a great advance for ChatGPT 3. ChatGPT 3 used about 175 billion parameters, okay, in order to learn and in order to put the information there, okay, and answer what you're asking. But ChatGPT 4, people are saying that has 100 trillion parameters, okay, which they haven't confirmed that. But if that is true, ChatGPT 4 is 500 times better than ChatGPT 3, okay? So imagine what's going to happen when ChatGPT 5 comes. But I think that ChatGPT is amazing, and I use ChatGPT sometimes because I don't want to burn my brain thinking about emails, for example. Okay, for me, creating the email that I send you, it was created by ChatGPT.
Wow. That's amazing. And it's a great email, by the way. It does not seem like a machine put that together.
Yeah, I tweak a few things, but I mean, if we create emails for our investors, we can actually define what's the avatar of the investor, okay, who our investor is, and ask to create the same information to different type of investors. And it will come in 30 seconds, okay? Instead of us spending 3 hours, that's what I would take me, especially me that I have the language barrier, to write an email, okay? So it has been amazing.
So let's if you're okay with it, let's talk about application for real estate, because, you know, obviously we've been talking about this from really a purely business perspective, which obviously if you're going to be a real estate investor, you should be treating it like a business, because you've got to build a team, you've got to execute on systems, you've got to anticipate challenges, you've got to be prepared to handle, you know, a myriad of different factors, whether you're one individual or not. You've got to have a team around you. So, you know, from a high level, we've been talking about this application for business, you know, that obviously applies to real estate, but let's get even more specific, you know, so that we can open up sort of the creative thought process of how we can leverage this technology. Talk to me about application for real estate investors.
If you are a syndicator, you need to be ahead of the curve using AI. If you're an investor, my belief is that you need to make sure that your syndicator is leveraging the company in AI and technology, because otherwise, nobody's going to be able to compete with that syndicator. Because if we can do more with only 5 employees, we can make more money for you with the same amount of people that we have in the properties. How another company that is not leveraging that is going to compete in terms of cost, in terms of returns. Okay, so as a real estate investor, you need to make sure to understand how they're integrating AI into technologies, because in 5 years, that's going to be a huge difference how much money you're making or how much money you're not making. But if you are a syndicator, there are many ways that you can leverage this technology. And let me give you a few examples that we're doing. Things that we're doing in our asset management team, for example, and that's one of the most important things that departments that we're implementing, is that we're using technology to remove the human time of the leases of the units, okay? So we have a technology that is going to take all the phone calls, all the text messages, and all the emails from people that wants to rent our apartment, okay? And it's going to be able to communicate with that person until the person show up for a virtual tour or show up for a real tour, okay? And actually lease the unit. That is saving about 15% of the time for our managers in each of the properties. And not only that, but is converting 106% more of people than before. Because think about how many times someone will forget to contact with someone else. Okay, that is also removing a $500 that can cost you the answering service. That person that answers the service during the time that you are not working, And that technology works 24/7. So it doesn't stop 24/7. And then we're using the same technology for collections. Okay. So we're improving collections using that technology. So our manager is not knocking doors you may have to do before, or she's doing that less. And she can focus her time in the things that are more important. Okay. We are actually training our managers on how to use ChatGPT as well, so they can leverage their time better, okay? And they can write faster, or they can find the information that they need faster. Even to write something, a letter for a tenant, they can do that. We're using that as well for the financial, okay, method that we have. I think that technology is a little bit older than generative AI, but it's able to measure many of the KPIs that we have. Then for marketing is huge. Okay, one of the biggest uses of generative AI is for marketing. Okay, so everything that you can think about marketing, you can do it with generative AI. Social media posts, calendars, ebooks, everything. Okay, now my concern with that is that how much people now is going to start reading, okay, your ebooks, if you can actually yourself go to ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, give me the 10 more important things that I should be worried when I'm investing in real estate, okay, and it's going to be there, okay, 10, and it's not going to be given by someone that has an ebook, okay, that put that information. It's going to be based on 100, 200 billion, trillion parameters. My concern in that is like how much content you're going to create, and really how much of that content now people is going to read if they have the access to go to ChatGPT.
And you would expect that there's going to be a wave of so much new information and new ebooks, you know, for that example. And perhaps because of that, there's so much more supply, and perhaps the demand maybe stays at the same level in terms of that type of consumption. So perhaps the consumption rate just drops, precipitously, perhaps.
I believe that's going to happen. And the other department that we are using AI is for customer service. Okay, some people has been using AI in general for sales for many years. Okay, through text or emails, but right now for customer service, they have some technologies that are connected with OpenAI. And by the way, everything that we implement right now, every CRM, we're moving CRMs right now. Every technology that we have, it needs to be connected with OpenAI, because they are the source of all these technology, and they are the ones that have the funding for this. So we're moving to a new CRM, and they are already partnering with OpenAI. So at one point we won't have to use ChatGPT because it's integrated in our CRM. Okay. So for customer service, for investor relations, I believe that for investor relations, it's going to be the most difficult part to integrate AI. People values, okay, human interaction, and it's very valuable. Now, it's going to still be important for an investor to talk to someone. And how far do you think we are for just having Vanessa or Tyler just as an AI, okay, without you actually being there, okay? How far do you think we are for having Tyler talking about X, Y, and Z, but you are not recording anything? It's just your avatar AI and someone else plugging information, or not even that, an AI understanding all the data that you have and plugging the information yourself. How far do you think we are from there?
I mean, I would love to know from you. I mean, if I had to guess, it's got to be at least 5 years away. I don't know. That's just a total ballpark.
Yeah. Well, the technology is already here, and you can do it. You can go to some AI websites. You can have this video that you have right there. Okay. And then someone else would plug the information, and you will be talking to investors, give the presentations, and you are not going to be there. Your time for recording is time free for you, for your family, for doing what you want. In 5 years, what is going to be more expensive is actually going to be your time. AI is going to help is helping to have more time, and is helping to create a more expensive time. Your time is going to be super expensive at that point, because if you can talk to an AI, why would you be in that camera?
Yeah. And I want to talk about, some specifics around that as well. But before I get there, I just wanted to follow up on one thing that you mentioned. You basically said, like, any service that you're working with, whether it's a CRM or otherwise, it needs to be connected to open AI. I was actually going to ask this a little bit earlier. Who's behind the development of this, and what does that actually look like? Just so we can understand a little bit beneath the hood, so to speak.
Well, Elon Musk was related with that. Okay. The CEO of OpenAI, his name is Sam, and I lost his last name. But there is a lot of people involved in that. Microsoft just plugged millions of dollars in generative AI. Google is super scared about searching, because the search is practically dead. Okay. And nobody ever think that Google was going to have a competition. And now it's here, because you don't need to search. You just need to go to ChatGPT. I know that Elon Musk has been talking about AI. He was very concerned of the use of the technology for good, and he pulled back of that for an open AI, because he's still concerned of how is this going to be open to the public, or is going to be open to humanity, or is it going to be controlled by corporations? Because if you start thinking about the future, this is mind blowing. Okay, what you can see. But he actually mentioned that he believed that human-like technology, human-like AI, would be here by 2025. I don't think so. Okay, I think we're still a little bit farther than that. By Raymond Kurzweil, which is a huge scientist, okay, author, and he's a computer scientist in the US, and a futurist. He believes that human-like AI will be here by 2029. And that's what I agree.
Which means basically, like, it looks like a human, it seems like a human, but it's artificial intelligence, in other words.
Yes, and it's thinking like a human, okay? And the concern is, of course, that will have their own mind, okay? And at one point, it will be more intelligent that also can control X, Y, and Z.
So, a lot of what you just described, especially for real estate, is a lot of upside, a lot of tremendous leverage for investors to be able to do very complicated things at a higher rate of efficiency and an exponential capacity, do more with less, and live a greater lifestyle in many aspects, perhaps demand a higher value. Obviously, there's some adaptation that needs to be engaged in terms of a human being's capacity to innovate within that type of environment. And perhaps that's, a topic for our next discussion. But what are your concerns for, this future?
There is a lot of concerns, and that will be like another full hour and on a different podcast. There is concerns on terms of copywriting. There is concern about this technology going the wrong way and starting to say things by themselves, okay, in a higher human capacity. But right now, talking about where we are right now and not going too far, the biggest concern is the quality of the content that is created, for example, because also the fact that ChatGPT or AI is going to go for your job, and there are going to be a lot of people that is going to be out of job. I don't think that's going to happen if you integrate AI, because as a designer, okay, before you will take 3 days to make a logo, you can now use an AI and create a logo in 30 seconds, okay? But then you can do some tricks. Then whatever took you 3 days for a client, it can take you 2 hours and have a great brand book for your clients. So if you adapt, I don't think that people is getting out of their job, okay? It's just like that's going to the beginning. It's just exponentially and hyper growing your business, because now you can make more money. I still don't want to be a designer. Even if I have the technology there to create my logo, I don't want to be a designer. I'd rather to have someone else, but come back to me with what I need in one day, in 24 hours, not in 7 days, like the story with my lawyer, for example. Right. So I don't think that people is going to be laid off jobs. I think there are going to be less jobs available because now my company can go 10x with the same people that I have right now.
And anytime you have a massive disruption like this, it's not like an elimination, but it is an adaptation and a change, right? Human beings, we have to be prepared to evolve. And I feel like what is true for today and moving forward for the rest of humanity is you've just got to be prepared for continuous change and disruption. And as long as you can continue to evolve within that, leverage the good things and not dwell on, oh my gosh, these are all very, hyper challenges, right? At one point in time, there were things that we take for granted today as second nature that was like completely disruptive of society and very concerning in many regards. And we've continued to propel forward, and the lifestyle today is so much better as a result. So I think that there's so much positivity that we can look at in terms of leveraging this amazing exponential technology.
Right. And AI is not only for business. This technology is going to be able to affect longevity into people. Okay. We're talking about way many other things than business. So the projection is that the technology that has been created is going to be able to extend the life of people to 150 years.
I love that.
Yeah.
And
so,
it's, you're almost like you're opening the kimono, so to speak, on all of these other possibilities, right?
It is incredibly huge. And there has been studies about how AI has been able to diagnose in the healthcare industry to diagnose 84% faster and more accurate issues in the human being than doctors. This is affecting, and I think we're going to have a bright future. People sometimes get scared for this technology, and I completely understand that, but we have. And this can also be a shiny object. That's what I say to people. It's going to be a shiny object. You can be playing with all these technologies, playing with Dolly, Midjourney, creating things that is actually not doing anything for you. So that is not your business, okay? I would say stay away. Learn, have the information, but you can spend days just playing with all these technologies because every day there are at least 50 new AI technologies out there every day, okay? So it's very hard to keep up with that. In my company, we have an AI channel. Every time someone finds something that can be used for us, we have an AI for underwriting as well that we're testing and is able to intelligent analyze rent rolls, T12. So it's removing 50% of our analyst time. So this can be very Chinese. So just make sure that you're using the ones that you need to use for your business and delegate the other ones to your team. If you're not a designer, don't start playing with that because, you're going to spend all your time on all these things.
I love that. And my mind is just opening to so many other possibilities within real estate. It's like managing a transaction, managing due diligence, all of these different factors, all the different day-to-day things that we all interact with to capture the beautiful opportunities that we all love within real estate. And the other thing, just two sort of final comments before we transition into the rapid fire section of the podcast, is the only constant in life is change. And so how are we interacting with that? The other thing too, this is exciting because one of the biggest factors towards continued economic expansion, because a lot of people are concerned about where we are in the market cycle. The biggest factor in human history for continued economic expansion all really comes down to human innovation. And this is another factor that obviously perhaps now will gain a life of its own. It will start to innovate without human involvement in many aspects. But I think it's amazing to think about the possibilities from an economic perspective, not only just leveraging the tool, but just thinking about how this really compounds in society. So those are a couple of comments. I'd love to invite you to talk about those things the next time we get together, Vanessa. But until that next time, I got to transition into the rapid fire section of the podcast, which is called the Rare Air Questionnaire. And of course, in many aspects, understanding what we've talked about today is somewhat rare, but I think at some point in the near future, it's not going to be rare because people are going to have to wake up to the reality of what we've been talking about today. It's just going to be everywhere. So if you had to point to 2 or 3 of the most impactful books that you've read over the past few years to continue to invest in your own learning, what would those be and why?
Okay, business-wise, I have so many. Business-wise, I would say Traction has been very good for me. Okay. Traction, Who Not How has been great. I really love this small book that I read. Oh my God. What would the Rockefellers do? What would the Rockefellers do? It's very interesting. And it's about generational wealth. Those 3. Oh my God. If you are a parent. I love Dr. Shefali. You have to read this book. Her last book is The Parenting Map. Okay. And her approach to parenting is so incredibly beautiful of how you can be a parent and actually make sure that you're treating your kid as who they are and not who you want them to be. The Parenting Map by Dr. Shefali. Okay. And my last one, can I give you one more? Is one of my favorite books ever in history. I read it when I was 17 and I still read it today. It's called 100 Years of Solitude. That is an Colombian author. Okay, he got the Nobel Prize for this novel, and it's a novel. And what I like about that is that it's a novel that can actually disconnect me. When we talk about the Matrix, it's a way for disconnecting me because otherwise I'm just filling my brain with information. When I read all this book, it's just learning. But this is an only way that you can actually disconnect and feel that he is one of the biggest, author and the most important in literature in history. He has been translated to 50 different languages. And that novel can actually make you feel human. It's about feeling and being just right there. It's just incredible.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm excited to pick that one up myself. We'll put links in the show notes as where the listeners can find all of those books. So thank you for sharing that, Vanessa. Vanessa, what's the biggest way that you elevate your life on a daily basis?
Well, I try to do the transcendental meditation when I can. Okay. I would love to say that I do it every day. And I wake up at 5, but hey, I have 5 kids. And if my kids are sick, my whole plan is over. So I do that. The transcendental meditation is very important exercise and playing with my kids.
Thank you for the reminder, throughout this conversation to be present with our kids, even if we're doing big things and we're trying to understand exponential technology, leverage exponential technology and do amazing things, continue to adapt and innovate. Be present with your kids, be present with your family, still do the things that are most important. So I appreciate those reminders throughout this conversation. Vanessa, what's the biggest way that you elevate others around you?
Lately, what I have been doing that I love with my family is using this yoga laugh technique. I don't know if you heard about this before. It's actually called yoga laugh, and it's a type of yoga when you laugh. And it's so interesting because as you grow up, if you see that kids, how many times kids laugh and how many times you laugh, we remove that, we lose that with time. And I started doing that with my family. The yoga laugh is just one breathing and laughing and technique to laugh. And it has been great. And I would love my kids to grow up doing that. So, and see if they don't forget that laughing, it's important.
Wow, what a great reminder too. Don't take life too seriously. And, at the end of the day, some things are really, really simple, and laughter can, obviously create such a lasting impression on others around you. But Vanessa, I want to acknowledge you for so many things. I mean, first of all, experiencing and showing the way of early success, tremendous success, without all of this exponential technology early on in your life, doing that across multiple different countries. I mean, throughout the world. I mean, it's remarkable. It's unbelievable. But your commitment to continuing to challenge the ordinary in exchange for the extraordinary and leveraging this tremendous wave that we're looking at today and this disruptor in generative AI. I mean, it's really, really remarkable. And the minute I met you, you were so passionate, not only about this technology, but what's possible on the horizon. So it's just infectious. And I just wanted to acknowledge you. I wanted to show you my love and appreciation. But do you have any parting thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to share with Elevate Nation today?
Well, I am a very good fan of Tony Robbins. I'm completely fan of coaching in general. I think that learning, I just not only auto learning, I have people around me that is always helping me to learn more. So Tony Robbins also talks about financial freedom, talks about time freedom and geographical freedom. Okay. And I think from all the freedoms that he always talking about, those three for me are the most important. And I feel that we are so close right now to achieve those three freedoms with this technology. That is just very exciting. You can work from whatever, where always you can do that. But now more than ever, we can have the time, more time, even being more successful. And you can have financial freedom because now you can hyper growth. So I'm very excited about that.
I am too. I feel like you've made it so much more clear today. And there's so much possibility on the horizon. Vanessa, I just want to thank you again for taking time to be on Elevate Podcast. Tell the listeners where they can learn more about you, your company, and what you do.
Sure. So my website, venuspartners.com. I created a one page, actually 2 pages, document with AI information for entrepreneurs, right, that you can go to my website and sign up on my newsletter, on my VIG group, and then we can send it to you. As I said, it could be that it's obsolete in 6 months. So just right now, before it's too late. But yes, it's just in general to help entrepreneurs and VC individuals to manage their time with some AIs that are there.
I'm sure you're going to be updating that within 6 months.
Maybe 3 months.
I was going to say, so we'll put a link in the show notes as to where the listeners can find you there, and appreciate you plugging that. But Vanessa, until next time, thanks again for being on the podcast. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I have such a fun time talking to you.
Elevate Nation, is your mind blown like mine is? And there's just so much to be said about what is on the horizon. So many of the opportunities that are coming and that have already come. And so I hope that you found tremendous value in gaining more awareness of this exponential technology and artificial intelligence that is available to us today and increasingly available to us in the near future in so many aspects. So my mind is open for the possibilities of how this can be applied as an investor, as a business owner, and as someone who's embracing continued change. But I'd like to ask, is yours as well? And what did you take away from this episode? What are your top 1, 2, or 3 distinctions or takeaways? I want to encourage you to jot those down, share those with a friend, and have a discussion about what you're seeing. How are you going to evolve? How are you going to adapt? How are you going to apply and leverage this exponential opportunity to grow and to create new value and to create new opportunities in your life, and also to be more present with the people that you care about as you continue to grow? I think it's exciting. I can understand why people see some concerns on the horizon, and we should obviously not put our heads in the sand. But I want to encourage you to look at this for the positive that it can be, and understand the negatives, and perhaps position yourself so that you can protect yourself from any of those negatives as we move forward. We are going to continue to explore these type of discussions on Elevate as we move forward. And we'll probably bring Vanessa back again in the near future to dive even deeper on some of these concepts, because in some aspects, this was a little bit of an introductory conversation on artificial intelligence. And so as we continue forward, we'll go even deeper so that I can bring you the best value on this topic and so many others. But of course, this topic is one of the most important that we can consider as we move forward into this new landscape, this new economy, this new world that is really forming before our eyes and has already formed in many aspects. So I want to encourage you to identify those distinctions and take massive action. That's the most important thing. Elevate Nation, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Elevate. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to elevate your results by taking immediate action on what you learned. For more, visit elevatepod.com.